Pro Wrestling Weekly. For over 20 years, the revolutionary force in sports entertainment radio talk.
Is cooking.
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly,
the longest-running pro wrestling radio talk show in the history of terrestrial radio.
And he's obviously Michael Cole.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
You really do sound like a
grizzled old vet. Is that where you were going with there?
Yes.
To not get you in trouble?
Oh, I'll get in trouble at some point. Believe me, I'll do something.
Well, to keep you out of trouble in this case, at least.
And now, here are your hosts of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro.
Ooh, I'm getting good at this radio thing.
Yeah. It only took you 5.5 years.
I'm not good at it yet. I'm starting.
Yeah.
Only slightly.
Slowest escalator upward.
Shut up!
There's the sound of the bell, and we are set to go. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here alongside the triumphant return. Yes, that's right. Twitch is back in the house after 6 weeks?
Roughly. I was booked, Terry.
Yeah, when you smooth it out, it's more like 42 days.
Well,
That old gag.
That's just hurtful.
That old gag. And also, the gang's all here. Twitch and Mitch in the same place.
Hey, look at that.
They can't. It's audio.
It is audio.
Well, just to prove that you're not the same person, because I mean there are some noted similarities as
To the point where we have to share a mic now. I'll break kayfabe for that.
We're working on it. Budgetary cuts.
Yeah, they wanted to cut me. Instead, they just took out my mic.
Yeah, they were going to shut you up one way or another.
I will not be silenced unless an authority figure tells me otherwise. Yeah, fight the power. Sort of.
Yep. Roll with the punches and get knocked to the ground by all the nonsense going down.
Yes.
Keeping myself out of trouble there with that one. Great tune, Isley Brothers. #1 hit, 1975. Chart toppers. Heard here Saturday mornings at 6 on WBCB. Yeah, I'm going to get it in.
It really is like a just like old times. We we haven't even talked about wrestling yet.
Well, we're getting people back into the flow of you being here. It's been so long,
Yeah.
It has been, and next time we'll see you sometime after Mania, I'm sure.
Most likely. Look, I don't know. It's been a while since I've been here. I don't know when I'm going to be back. I'm just going to get all the cluster in now. All the botches. You're going to get your money's worth. I hope.
Phrasing?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right, so lots to get into this week, including some fairly breaking news from just yesterday. Yesterday turned out to be a not-so-future Endeavor Friday. But, which some of it stemmed actually a little earlier in the week, as on Wednesday, Ty Dillinger had announced that he had asked for his contractual release from WWE, noting on Instagram, quote, "Before rumors begin to spread, let me set things straight ahead of time. This evening, I requested my release from WWE. In the past 5.5 years with them, I have seen and done some wonderful things that I am very proud of and will never forget. I have met and worked with unquestionably some of the greatest talent on this earth, and the pleasure has been all mine."
That means he's going to AEW. Ugh.
Wow, the snark is real.
Look, I have nothing against AEW, and I don't have anything against Ty Dillinger. The fact is, though, that is all I've been seeing on the internet is, God forbid someone gets released, or God forbid someone gets in trouble. It's, they're just trying to get released so they can go to AEW. Where's your backing on that? It just, not every time someone gets released means they're going to go to AEW. There's so many other places you can go to. Japan, Ring of Honor, MLW, just the indies.
Impact?
Impact.
Oh,
Yeah,
don't
that's
get
what
ahead
I
of
was gonna
yourself.
say.
Come on.
Well, he could. I mean,
Yeah. You could.
it's an option. It may not be the most likely option, but it's an option. And kudos to Mitch for thinking on that same wavelength there.
Yeah, I was thinking, hey, what else can you go to, eh?
Yeah, there are other options, that is for sure. Now, 5.5 years, I was kind of hoping that he'd stick around to be there for 10 years.
Yeah.
But it
I mean,
didn't
he is
happen.
sort of up there, and he's like mid-30s maybe?
Well, he actually announced the release on or the request for his release this past week on his 38th birthday.
Yeah. So he could just want to retire. Who knows?
Well, regardless, he got what he wanted yesterday, as it was a Future Endeavor Friday without the future endeavoring, as WWE granted the releases yesterday of not only Ty Dillinger, but also kind of expected in Hideo Itami, Kenta Kobayashi.
I thought that he had already... The thing is, I thought they had already finalized that.
They may have already finalized it. They just officially announced it yesterday. And then one that kind of threw people for a little bit of a loop, TJ Perkins.
Yeah, really, yeah. I'm shocked.
That was one of the kind of out of nowhere releases. I mean, he was certainly a nice contributor to the 205 Live brand.
He was the first, I guess, new WWE Cruiserweight champion. He won the Cruiserweight Classic,
Yeah, there's certainly some history there, and maybe it was just a directional thing. It's hard to say, but I will put this out there just for the chronological and mathematical purposes of it, and not to be one of those internet people whom you've grown to despise as of late. And by as of late, I mean your entire life. But for those keeping track, as wrestlers do nowadays, they have 90-day non-compete clauses, meaning they can't just jump to another company next week. That'll end in the 90s with the Monday Night Wars. But 90 days from yesterday, February 22nd, would be May 23rd, which is just 2 days before AEW's Double or Nothing event.
Yeah.
That's just putting it out there for numbers' sake. Not saying, they're going to be there. Not saying it's a lock. Who knows? They may go to Ring of Honor or New Japan.
I think that would be. TJ's best bet. TJ Perkins would most likely go to Ring of Honor or Japan, because that's, first of all, that's sort of where he had a stint in Ring of Honor. He was in New Japan as Puma, so
Didn't realize you were his agent.
Well, I would speculate that might be where he would go. Not anyone's agent. I can't even agent myself. All right?
That is not inaccurate.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And well, it's we finally hit that time of year. I knew it was bound to happen at some point here, right? That's right. It is indeed Hall of Fame season. Ah, yes. So, announcing for this past week, WWE's first announcement, the headlining entrance into the Hall of Fame induction ceremony at WrestleMania weekend. Well, it's none other than 6 individuals, actually, that started off way back in 1997, because, as we all know...
It all goes back to 97.
Yes, thank you, OSW, for that constant throwback reference there. And we'll actually take a trip back to October of 97. Bret Hart going at it with Shawn Michaels. No, this isn't the Montreal thing. That'd be a little bit before then. But
Sunny Days? No? Oh, okay.
No. We've later tonight, it gonna rain. Who are we kidding?
Well, that's at night, not during the day.
Yeah, true. Not so sunny nights, I suppose. But no, back on Monday Night Raw here in October of 20 said today is 20 October of 97, where Bret Hart in challenging either Shawn Michaels or Triple H. Well, we got this little nugget here.
I tell you what, why don't you two degenerates come down here right now and step in the ring with me right now? Either one of you, I don't care. Either one of you right here, right now. What? Oh, hey man, I got news for you. Sometime during this show, we are going to cross paths, and you talk about us being degenerates. You know what? I'm tired of Generation X getting a bad rap. You think you're a degenerate? What? You think you're a degenerate? Well, I'm positive I'm one.
I guess I'd have to be one.
Well, you know what? Generation X always gets a bad rap. Everybody calls it Degenerates. Degeneration X. Is that us? Degeneration X. Triple H, HBK, China, Ravish and Rick. We are Degeneration X. You make your rules, and we will break them. Yeah.
That's right. That was where the beginning of Degeneration X had occurred. And, man, it feels like so long ago that, but it's because it was 22 years ago. But that was the beginning of the group that would eventually, well, they would certainly have two words for you, and we know what those are, and I don't think we can say them here, so you all know what it is.
Yes.
Well, and except for Mitch, and I just mouthed it to him with that particular gesture that was so popularly known and also loathed in a lot of cases because you had like elementary school kids doing that back in,
it's a fun time to be a wrestling fan.
It most certainly was. Oh, oh boy, little bit of in studio entertainment. We'll just we'll leave it at that here. Yes, so. But yes, the six members of the DX faction over the course of the late 90s and early 2000s. Shawn Michaels, who was inducted as an individual back in 2011.
He and Ric Flair are going to be two-time Hall of Famers. They're going to be the only two-time Hall of Famers.
The only two-time Hall of Famers. I want to make sure you got your twos straight here.
I do.
Also, Triple H, the Road Dogg Jesse James, Billy Gunn, Shawn X-Pac Waltman, and Chyna.
Yes.
Yeah, now Triple H is the biggest name of the first-time inductees, and I think it's pretty safe to say that he'll be more than likely be inducted as an individual somewhere down the line. But the most newsworthy name in a dubious fashion is Chyna due to her rocky history with the company and the distance that WWE created with her following her post-wrestling film career. We'll put it that way.
This is probably the only way she can and will be inducted, and I think it's a safe bet. And we should all just be happy that she's being thought of at all. So, like, because I saw someone they definitely need to induct her as a singles induction. And it's like, don't just take what you got right now.
Yeah, plus part of the issue, and I know we go over this on a yearly basis, is the queue of posthumous wrestlers as far as being inducted in the Hall of Fame is a pretty long list.
Yeah.
So if there's a way to kind of trim that list down a little bit by inducting a group or a faction or a team of some sort, that certainly isn't a bad way to do it. And it also doesn't, while it shines the spotlight on the group, it doesn't shine the spotlight directly on Chyna because you get the good with the bad in terms of that. I mean, she was incredibly strong. She competed against the men. She was an Intercontinental Champion. However, there's a lot of other things, some of them WWE induced. I mean, it's amazing how they create flack for the post-wrestling film career, but they had no problem back in, 2001, where they had her pose for Playboy?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it was acceptable.
Yeah, it was acceptable at the time, exactly. So that'll be an interesting way to start, and I'm sure over the course of the next few weeks as we head up to WrestleMania weekend, that as the announcements go in, there will obviously heading in be the constant debate of snubs of who was due and things of that nature here. And I believe we're at about that time to take care of our first time out here, so we're going to go ahead and do that, and we'll come on back here and bring you more of the great wrestling news here, including an interesting film that's going to be coming up courtesy of an actor that you know from the comic realm. All that and another name that's no longer with WWE and a name that's coming back after a little bit of an absence. All that and more here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Lee Piccarello inviting you to tune in every Friday morning at 8 a.m. to The Head Game, a must-listen show for athletes and coaches of all levels and ages. Mindful Athlete Training in Newtown, Pennsylvania is a mental circuit training program that prepares the athletes to perform at the highest level of today's game. Athletes get into the zone faster and stay there longer. Tune in every Friday morning at 8 a.m. right here on WBCB 1490 AM and throughout the world at WBCB1490.com.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Everything you wanted to know about funerals and planning but did not know who to ask. Tune in on Mondays at 9 a.m. to the Galzerano Funeral Home. More than just a funeral home, Louis A. Galzerano III has been serving Bucks County for over 100 years. Family owned and operated by Louis and his wife Carol. Galzerano Funeral Home serves all faiths and nationalities. A full-service funeral home with a full line of cremation options and a crematory on the premises. 2 locations to serve you and your family, one in Bristol and one in Levittown. Call 215-788-2821 or 215-945-8484. Special rates to show our thanks to all servicemen and women as well as the FOP. Galzerano Funeral Home, 215-788-2821 or 215-945-8484. Schedule a retirement planning strategy session with TFG Wealth Management. Mark Freed previews his technology others don't have access to and methods other professionals don't consider. Mark's maximum planning process takes you to and through a successful retirement. Call 866-296-8156. Mark Freed at TFG Wealth Management. That's 866-296-8156.
Investment advisory services are offered by TFG Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Pennsylvania. Insurance products and services are offered through the Freed Group. TFG Wealth Management, LLC, and the Freed Group are affiliated companies.
What script? We got rid of it, remember?
Yeah, oh yeah, you crumbled it up. Wait, no. It's in the waste bucket. I don't know why I just called it a waste bucket. I've been watching too much British television.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your hosts, Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro.
No, sorry, that's the rubbish bin. It's in the
Where most of your jokes go. Yes. Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you alongside Twitch and Mitch, and that is the first time that Twitch has heard that return since putting that in here, and he is literally tearing up here in the studio with laughter.
I'm just so happy.
Yeah, you're just overjoyed. You're ecstatic.
Look, it's good to know that instead of putting my foot in my mouth, it'll just be immortalized on radio. So,
well, that way people can't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Well, at least I'm pretty sure they can't see it.
Oh, they'll find a way.
Exactly. All right, so we were talking before the break. So an interesting announcement that came this week regarding, you might know him best from the Thor films, Chris Hemsworth. He is going to be portraying Hulk Hogan in a biopic.
Oh, I'm sure that's not going to be a skewed viewpoint of that.
Well,
Hulk Hogan's son.
We'll go ahead and we'll delve into that a little bit deeper in a moment here. But a biopic co-written by Scott Silver and John Polino, and it'll be directed by Todd Phillips. You might remember him from comedies such as Old School, the Hangover films, as well as Borat.
He's also he's sort of helping. I think he's directing and/or producing the new Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. Thank you. As when it comes to movie I have no correspondence, so that's good on you for bringing that to the table here, because I think Borat might have been the last movie that I actually saw.
Oof.
But I will say it was very nice.
It was very nice.
Tried to tie it together here. Also listed as producers on the film, actor Bradley Cooper and Eric Bischoff. So Yeah, there may be a little bit of that. And then the story states that the project is likely to air on Netflix. And according to HollywoodReporter.com, and I think this is what you were alluding to, that the film will focus on Hogan's origin story rather than his controversial life after being in the ring in pro wrestling.
Oh, God. Right. I tried to fight for those unions, brother. I'm sure that's going to be a deleted scene. Tried to fight for them, they just wouldn't budge.
So
my eyes don't lust for Elizabeth, Macho. We're cool. I always liked you. I don't know why you're acting like this, man.
Oh, goodness. So I just recently went over the Mega Powers exploding. With
I can't
Mitch,
wait.
so.
I can't wait for the outtakes of the Gawker tape. Those deleted scenes. How those are going to be doctored.
Well, I don't think that that's going to even be addressed in the film, and I don't think there'll be any backlash over it of it being more of a fluff piece. But I'm pretty sure that the way they're going to go is by focusing on his glory years. Is I think that's what people would rather remember him for than
being told the truth.
Than a slight slip up or two regarding the statements from the recorded jailhouse conversation with his son and the tape with Heather Clem and all that other I don't think that they're going to make that. It's one of those things where they could go gritty with it, but this is a comedy director, so I don't think they're going that route.
Well, why would it need to be a comedy either? It's a biopic.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's a bio. It's just it's known for doing the comedies mostly. So sometimes there's a little bit of a skew that comes in from that.
Well, he was also a very accomplished amateur documentarian. I told you the first film that he ever did was called Hated, Gigi Allen and the Murder Junkies, which was he followed Gigi Allen, who was a very controversial punk rocker. And I guess his last tour, that it ended up being his last tour because he died. And it's a very interesting watch, even if you don't like punk rock.
Mm-hmm.
It's on YouTube.
Gotcha.
So he's very good at covering real things.
Covering real things as well as fake funnies.
Yes.
That is certainly good to know. Something that wasn't exactly funny that, we should circle back to this before we get into that here. The picks for Elimination Chamber, which turns out all three of us, despite having different results for different matches, we all went 5-2 on the picks out of 7. Not too shabby. So slight lead for me, 13-3 overall for the year, 12-4 for Twitch, and 9-7 for Mitch. Over the 500 mark. For somebody who still slightly knows the difference between a wrist lock and a wristwatch, not too shabby. Absolutely. And, based off of it, one thing that shocked two of us, and this was one where you had picked differently than the rest of us here, Twitch, was the Usos winning the SmackDown tag titles. I was undergoing the logic that based on the events from last week that wouldn't exactly help, but it's wrestling. Stranger things have happened.
Here's
whole
why
arrest thing.
I think they're building for Shane versus Miz at Mania. There's this whole thing of I did this to make my dad proud, and then he dedicates the match to his next unborn child. It's oh my God, this is going to be perfect, prime positioning for Miz to become spiteful and turn on Shane.
Well, we'll see how that develops here. But meanwhile, the address of the arrest from last week, Naomi taking to Twitter, responding to a fan on social media, dare I say a troll, declaring that declaring that she was not ticketed or drinking on the night that her husband Jimmy Uso was charged with disorderly conduct and obstruction following a traffic stop in Detroit. She said, quote, "I was not ticketed, I was not drinking. Leaving the lot, I was unaware that it exits to a one-way street." And she adds, "It was dark, snow, no signs, no traffic. I was pulled immediately, made a mistake, and I own it." And then she had some words for the quote-unquote fan, which included blocked.
Yeah, so. And this is what this circles back to the whole thing, the rant I had at the beginning, because there were people that online saying that Jimmy and Naomi are trying to get fired so they can go to AEW. That was a thing someone took the time to type that they thought made sense. Do you see where I mean? Where I'm coming from now with that whole thing?
Yeah, there can be some rather out there conspiracy theories.
Geez, man, you might dislocate your shoulder with a reach that big.
Yeah, no, very good. And other news to come out of Elimination Chamber, our eco-friendly champion is still champion, Daniel Bryan retaining the WWE Championship.
Though my predictions were the final two in that, and I wouldn't have been upset either way because I really want Kofi to win the WWE title at some point.
Well, I don't know if it'll necessarily be at Fastlane, but that is said as it's going to be Daniel Bryan against Kofi Kingston. That's just 2 weeks from tomorrow at Fastlane.
That's going to be a great match.
It's one that I'm certainly looking forward to.
It's going to have all the feels too, which is going to be good. They capitalize off of a last-minute replacement, but the entire internet. This is what the internet's good for. Is like they erupted and like we want to see Kofi win, because darn it, the first day I met you, I asked why wasn't Kofi Kingston ever a WWE champion? Right? That I remember that the first day I met you, that conversation, that was one of the things I brought up.
That was one of the things in the lengthy mall conversation.
That like 5-hour conversation that ended up happening, where my friend Danny was sort of just wandering around GameStop because he didn't want to be rude.
Yeah, that sounds like Danny.
Patience of a saint.
Absolutely, but look where it got you.
Yeah.
If he had just been like, "Come on, let's go," you wouldn't be here right now. You wouldn't be wrestling tonight.
No.
Possibly not.
No, probably not.
So a lot of that, yeah. Make sure to show him some love and some credit. That's all I'm saying.
No, I will.
Now
I do.
You do? Yeah. When you see him like once a year.
He's at Sleepaway College, all right.
Yeah, that'll certainly do it as well. That'll do it. Now, one person who also showed a little bit of love in interesting ways, basically being himself, was when the King of Bros, Matt Riddle, was approached by TMZ, and I was going to say, instantly a smile creeps from ear to ear on Twitch's face.
I love Riddle. He's just such just a great dude.
And
I can't
there's
wait to
no
hear
disagreeing with that.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what he has to. Was this about the whole a certain former UFC fighter turned heavyweight champion?
Well, they touched on a couple of different topics. It's one of those kind of walk-bys through the airport type deals that TMZ is known for doing. And as the thing, he gave some genuine yet interesting answers. And let's go ahead and bring this up here, and we'll see what he has to say.
Why do you think the NXT brand is doing so well? I feel like during the wrestling pay-per-view weekends, I feel like the NXT gets the biggest pop out of all the shows.
Yeah.
What do you think they're doing differently?
I think we're just different, and I know that's like easy to say.
Yeah.
But I would say like we're different, we're new, we're fresh, and we're not like the same kind of watered down child's product that WWE's kind of turned into a lot.
Yeah.
So like, when people watch us, even though it's scripted a lot of the time, it's more real.
But it's more bring that dynamic into the Raw, the SmackDowns, and everything. Is it just?
I would say you would have to bring in some of the talent, and like not just a couple there and there. You'd have to bring enough in so we can make the other roster members change.
Yeah. Do you feel like the better thing is to actually stay in the NXT for as long as possible, build up the brand, because it's that sort of like cult fan base? And,
funny enough, I was thinking about it the other day, and I want to get to main roster, but then I was thinking, well, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong because NXT is so hot. Maybe we should stay and try to build NXT and make it bigger than Raw and SmackDown and just be one like the big guy.
Yeah.
Which isn't impossible, I don't think.
But I feel like when you see especially when you see the guys like Cody Rhodes and those guys to see how well they're doing, you get that cult fan base, and you could actually be the Michael Jordan per se, the guy who changed NXT to make it more dynamic, to make it as big as it is. That's really that's came across your mind. And stuff?
Oh yeah. I think the big thing is Vince owns Raw, SmackDown. He owns everything, and those are his babies. He's had them forever. So I think the probability of NXT taking over at that level probably hard, but at the same time, I don't see it too far from the future of us being on the same playing field as Raw and SmackDown.
One last thing: who's the one guy in the roster that you really want to, you want to wrestle with? You want to kind of.
Before I would say Cesaro, just because he's so athletic and stuff like this. But after going to Madison Square Garden and having a chat with John Cena, I think I want to fight John Cena.
Yeah.
I mean, he might want to wrestle, but I kind of want to fight him.
Yeah,
see where it goes.
Dude, I enjoy you, man. I wish you the best, man.
Thank you, bro.
So there you go.
Can I point
go
to
ahead?
Because the way Riddle talks to the reporter, that's just look. I'm not trying to like be a sycophant or something like that. But that's genuinely him. That's who he is. That's how he talks to everyone. He's like one of the most genuine, down to earth dudes. And I'm sure he gave that little like smile he usually gives when he's like, they should probably bring a few people up to the main roster. Probably gave like a little
sly smirk type thing.
Yeah, Fearon knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well,
there's a thing he said with Borash too. There was a sit-down interview we had talking about him wanting to retire Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, he is very candid, and that's the good thing about Matt Riddle. And Twitch and I can speak to a little bit of this, of having worked and trained with him at the Monster Factory before going to Evolve and now going to NXT, is he is extremely what you see is what you get. There's no face that he's putting on for the cameras. I mean, that is just how he is. I mean, the fact that he showed up first day at WWE in a suit with the ball cap and the flip-flop sandals.
And you're like, you laugh, you pop, but then it's also like, what else did you expect?
And that, I think, is what's going to obviously allow him to prosper there, is that he is true to himself. He knows exactly who his character is. And, I mean, that's a big thing with wrestling, is being able to know who you are and be able to project that and believe in that. And if you're able to just be 100% you're not, what transition is there?
Exactly.
You're just putting all of yourself out there.
And that's why, like, he's just so lovable. He's just genuine, and that's who he is.
That's why he is the king of bros.
And anyone can root for him, regardless of whether or not you're like a UFC fan or just like a little kid. He's one of those guys. I'm sure that he's going to be a huge star with them.
And you have to wonder, based on that, if he might end up being that. I know we've been talking for a little while, even before your little hiatus. We've been talking about who the next face of the company is.
I always have. I'm always under the belief of, why can't there be multiple?
And there can be, but
because look, if you really look at it, up until like maybe when Reigns had to go on hiatus because of leukemia and everything, who's to say that? I thought that the Shield might as well be, like, even before Ambrose got injured too. They were, I think, you could consider those guys the face of the company. It's
hard to argue. Yeah, I can certainly agree with that. I mean, I wouldn't say hard to argue, but it is. There is certainly some validity to it. I think we're so used to the Cena and Orton era, and we have to realize Cena's going to be 42 in a couple of months.
And there's so many people that there's so many people bringing up that you could make stars out of that. Who are you? Like, who are we to hinder them? I'm sure would be WWE's mentality. I don't know. I don't work there. I don't have contact with people in the office, but hopefully that's the mentality, because maybe it doesn't have to be 3 years or 4 years of this guy being the top guy in the company. Everyone will have their moment at the top.
Well, the drawback or I guess caveat to that is, if everybody is great, then nobody's great. So there has to be some sort of hierarchy. That way you don't have parity.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying everyone, I think, will have their moment at the top, not at the same time. But, like, some people might have their moment, and then they might go down for a little bit, and then they'll go back up. It just depends. I'm not sure.
Well, that's the cyclical nature of wrestling. I mean, that not everybody stays at the top all the time
Like,
anymore.
remember when we thought that Strowman was primed to be the face of the company, and now it's starting to look like he's died down a little bit?
More than a little bit.
A lot of it.
Yes. So, I mean, that is one example. And it's also one of those things where once you're given the opportunity, what do you do with it?
Man. That's why that's just my speculation as to why Lars Sullivan had that anxiety attack. I would think that might be why it is, because you look at Lars Sullivan and you look at, like, oh, I'm supposed to be the next, like, thing. Like, I'm supposed to be the next guy that's supposed to fill in, like, I would have an anxiety attack too. It's your first night on the main roster, and it's probably speculated that you're going to be what Strowman and or Roman couldn't be. Like, that's what we're trying to prime you to be. There's instead of it just being a natural flow.
Progression.
Yeah.
It's almost like the basketball player that gets drafted right out of high school and is expected to, almost in a sense like a LeBron James.
Yeah, not everyone is LeBron James. LeBron James the exception. He isn't the rule. And as many times as people might think, well, I'm also going to be the exception. No, that's not always the case. That's rarely ever the case.
That most certainly is true here. We're going to take care of our second time out here and going to come on back. And you all right? You were grimacing for a second there.
Nah, I'm twitching.
Okay, that's the latest. It's been a while. I haven't.
Been a while. Yeah, it has.
That's just. Is that another reflex for you? And somebody says that, you just immediately sing the
song
lyric?
from Stained. Yeah, not reflex as much as it's just fun.
Duly noted.
Okay, right. Sorry, I'm gonna stop.
Welcome to Amateur Hour here on...
It's always Amateur Hour when I'm in studio. What are you talking about?
I don't know necessarily about that, but also want to let you know you've got a big match coming up here tonight against a longtime rival. And no, I'm not hopping in the ring.
No. Yeah, I'm facing my old tag partner, Travis Jacobs.
There's a lot of disdain that comes from that. I don't know.
Not disdain. It's just more reflection, maybe. It's weird. So like this time, was I still tag team champions with him this time last year? Give or take?
Yeah. It was. You just won it back in early. So yeah,
January.
You held it for late January. Yeah. So you were still. You were still champions at that point before losing the titles, and then he turned on you. And well, all right, we don't need to rehash all that here. I don't want to get you all amped up.
Oh well, no, I need to get amped up. And the last time we faced off, did not end well for me. So this time I think it's going to be different. I'm ready. My head's in as clear as it's going to be at this point.
Clear as mud. Got it. We'll be back here. We've got more news to get into, some more notes, also the Today in Wrestling History, the birthdays, and also, we'll get into that on the other side as well. I was going to bring it up now, but we'll save it for the other end here.
A certain grave mistake?
Well, that we're definitely putting onto the other side. Yeah, most certainly. And we'll make sure
saga.
Exactly. And we'll make sure that I don't make any grave mistakes here as well. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Catch the ultimate wager and watch experience only at Chickies and Pete's. Place a bet at either the new sportsbook at Parks Casino or the sportsbook at the Tropicana, and then watch it pay off just steps away at the Chickies and Pete's inside both casinos. Chickies and Pete's will have all the big games on all the big screens, and the best bet is the food will be great. The ultimate in-game experience is now the ultimate wager and watch experience at Chickies and Pete's at Parks Casino and Chickies and Pete's at the Tropicana.
Must be 21 or older and gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hi, this is Sarah Floyd, Director of Care Advocacy, and we're Bucks County Elder Law, a life care planning law firm. It's not easy talking to loved ones or friends about long-term care. However, the reality is things happen, and people are naturally lousy planners who tend to be overly optimistic. It's no fun reminding people that they may need long-term care. One way to get people to take action is to discuss the benefits of planning versus the consequences of not planning. At Bucks County Elder Law, we empower you to make the best legal, care, and planning decisions for you and your family. We invite you to call us today at 215-493-0727 to schedule a free initial consultation and to join us each Tuesday at 9 a.m. for Senior Legal Strategies right here on WBCB. And visit our website at www.buckscountyelderlaw.com.
All commentators heard on WBCB express their own views. Their opinions are not necessarily those of others on WBCB, including the staff and management.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, February 23rd. On this date in 1990, WWF The Main Event aired live from Detroit, Michigan. In the featured match, Hulk Hogan defeated Randy Savage with Buster Douglas as a special guest referee to retain the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 1997, WCW held its Super Brawl 7 pay-per-view. In the main event, Hollywood Hogan pinned Roddy Piper to retain the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 2003, WWE held its No Way Out pay-per-view. In the main event, The Rock pinned Hulk Hogan. This has been Today in Wrestling History, February 23rd.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. The gang all here, Fearon, Derry, Twitch, and Mitch all in the house. Who'da thunk it?
Yeah, it's, broken clock's right twice a day.
Something like that. You're all right? You seem a little...
I'm focused and tired at the same time. You know me, Fearon. I'm never okay. Thanks for checking in.
And I've known you for 5.5 years. You're seldom focused, so I don't know.
It's a big match tonight. Look, and also, lest we forget, that's drop-worthy what few sentences ago. I'm never okay. And thanks for checking in.
I'll keep that in mind. We'll maybe add that to a future highlight or something here. So something of note from that Today in Wrestling History, and this is more of a little bit of a history lesson here. So that main event from February of 1990, that was supposed to be even bigger than it was, and a little something that didn't quite go according to plan kind of loused up the initial plans. As the special guest referee for that Hogan-Savage match, which was a rematch from WrestleMania 5 the year before, it was supposed to be guest referee Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah. I remember you telling me this story.
Yeah, and what happened was, as they tend to say...
Well, certain people tend to say...
certain people tend to say, yeah. No, in this case, what happened was there was a boxing title defense that Tyson had, and it was, I believe, over in Japan, if I remember correctly. And, well, it turns out that Buster Douglas had one of the upsets of the century, for lack of a better term.
To be fair, he really was, though, a one-hit wonder.
Yeah. With that. And
I'll see myself out.
Pretty much. But yeah, it was initially supposed to be Mike Tyson, but Douglas, with his knockout title win over Tyson just 2 weeks prior on February 11th, that took Tyson out of the mix. That apparently for Douglas got a rather small portion or fraction of what Tyson was going to be paid, but of course, Tyson would go on to be the guest referee for the main event of WrestleMania 14 some 8 years later, between Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels. I don't know, just something that I thought was interesting, because most people go, wait, Buster Douglas, what was that about? It's just interesting how that how things kind of changed on that.
Yeah.
Amazing how that works here. Anyway, heading on back into the news and notes here. Drake Maverick, a name that I know we don't hear too terribly much here. He announced at the beginning of 205 Live that there's going to be an 8-man tournament to determine who will challenge Buddy Murphy for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship at WrestleMania.
Ooh. Oh, they're going to make this an annual thing. I like it. Last year was to crown a new Cruiserweight champion, and this year, I like it. I like tournaments. They're fun to watch.
They are, although I know that one Vincent Kennedy McMahon does not share your sentiment at least regarding one-night tournaments.
It's not going to be a one-night tournament.
It isn't going to be a one-night tournament, but I don't know if it's just tournaments in general he's not a fan of, or just the one-night variety. As I don't know.
We can't put any other stories on.
Yeah,
I don't understand it.
Every time they go to that well, it doesn't seem to work out all that great. Whether it was WrestleMania 4, whether it was
maybe not do like 50 matches in one night, Vince. Maybe that might be why.
Well, even the King of the Ring, I mean, that lasted a decade, but even that kind of evolved, and next thing you know, it was just like the semifinals and the finals.
Hey, man, the two-day UK tournament's great. Or the first one was. And then I like what they do with that, because I always like the story of who's going to run the gauntlet, who's going to stand the test of time, that whole thing. It's that fighting through every single person to get one prize. Whether that be having to fight someone who's holding the title or fight for the title that has been vacated. You can tell a great story from that.
This certainly is true. No question about that here. And also a little bit of sad news, as this is somebody who I was always a fan of in one of those kind of quiet behind-the-scenes kind of ways, as he's somebody who's always gotten it, and while he never had the biggest spotlight, you knew that he could deliver every time the spotlight was on him, and that's Arn Anderson, longtime producer. Apparently, according to ProWrestlingSheet.com, he apparently has been let go by WWE. Anderson, one of the original Four Horsemen members, and along with Ric Flair and Tully Blanchard and rotating cast. No.
Brother Ole.
Yeah, it was Ole Anderson to start, but most people they think
cast is the most appropriate one though.
Yeah,
it went from Ole to Tully, I think, right?
Well, no, Tully was always in. It went from Ole to Barry Windham.
Barry Windham,
and that's the group
known.
that most people think of, and that was who was inducted into the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. As I think Ole still has bad blood with
everyone.
Okay, yeah, with everyone.
Or it's more everyone has bad blood with him. That's better.
I don't know. Two different sides of the coin, but either way, either way it lands, I suppose.
I suppose, yes.
But, I mean, Anderson, he started as a producer with WWE back in 2001. So he'd been there for quite a while. Now, there's been speculation that there's been kind of a out with the old, in with the new mentality in terms of producers, because some of the younger wrestlers aren't quite clicking with the old school wrestling, those who have been around for a while, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those.
This is Arn Anderson we're talking about. Like, I would listen to Arn Anderson. Man has made more money in this business than I can probably ever imagine at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'll listen to what he has to say.
And interestingly enough, Anderson is advertised for the StarCast event that'll be held May 23rd to 26th in Las Vegas surrounding the AEW Double or Nothing weekend. Oh, the speculation begins they're going to sign him.
That would be pretty funny, though. I would be okay with that. He just comes in, all his matches, he just spine busters people. And they don't kick out.
Well, I don't think he's
forcing the locker room like they're supposed to.
I don't think he's going to go to that level, but you could certainly do a lot worse than Arn Anderson as a backstage agent, producer, or anything of that nature, with the knowledge that he brings to the table. So we'll see about that here. And then there's also one other, while one person's out, there's also a notable return that I believe we had alluded to a little bit ago that is going to be happening this coming Monday. Yeah, that's right. Roman Reigns is on his way back. He's appearing...
Did someone ask for a Samoan named Joe? Sorry.
You keep going back to that.
That is because it's one of my... Look.
Here we go.
I don't think I was in for this one, but on top, that's my favorite, like, hypothetical Vince. My favorite new Vince moment is, there's a lot of beef in that ring, Finn.
Oh.
That is my new favorite Vince moment. That is better than anything. A lot of beef. Sure you can handle all this beef? Where's the beef, Finn? It's in my ring. Sure you can handle it.
Yeah, I graciously glossed over that at the time.
I would have brought
it seems
streamers.
Like
I would have thrown streamers at him for saying that.
Just because it seems like I walk a thin enough tightrope as it is. So, yeah, I'd rather we'll keep it from there. But WWE.com story stating that Reigns will be providing an update on his leukemia battle. So that is a good thing. We're hoping for good news on that. Plus, this Monday is going to be a big show as well, as this is one of those say it ain't so moments and kind of Father Time kicking us in the pants a little bit here, that it's also going to be the 70th birthday celebration of Ric Flair, the Nature Boy.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
70th? He's
70.
only 70?
I mean, his body's probably about 110 at this point, considering all the styling and profiling and limo riding and jet flying and everything else that he's done over the years.
And alcohol consuming.
Well, yeah,
and
the partying. I mean, he's still partying now like he was in the 80s.
Most likely, through the nose.
Careful now. I was going to say, you come back 1 week and you're already, yeah.
Look, like I said, I don't know when I'm going to be back. I might not ever be back at all, from what I say.
I was going to say, yeah, the rate you're going.
You never know.
Say,
it ain't my goal, but it could. It's not on my to-do list, but it could be.
And for nothing else, again, kind of breaking the fourth wall, but Ted is right there.
Yeah, he didn't look up and say anything bad. He didn't, have palpitations or anything.
Not yet.
Exactly.
Not yet.
Yeah, there's 4 more minutes in the show. Yeah,
well, then, that's challenge accepted, boys.
No. Well, in that case, we'll quickly gloss over this then. The whole Corey Graves thing from pretty much started after the show went off the air last week. The color commentator Corey Graves for WWE, his ex-wife publicly accusing the announcer this past weekend of cheating on her with wrestler Carmella, women's wrestler Carmella. But that's why there's multiple sides to the story, as according to ProWrestlingSheet.com, he and his soon-to-be ex-wife Amy Polinsky have been in the divorce process for about 6 months, and Corey has been living in a different home for 2 of those months.
Yep.
And additionally, he informed his ex over the weekend that he was now seeing someone else, a relationship that began after he had moved out of the home, and she reacted in a very public way. So she apparently didn't like that.
Not at all. And then the internet laughed and laughed and laughed, and
and then they didn't.
No, they didn't. Some accounts did apologize, which is nice, I guess. Not that he wants to accept it or anything like that, but it's like, people will shoot first and
ask questions later.
Look for evidence later.
Or look for there's a lot of that, kind of having to be not necessarily being right, but being first. That is with
that's why I was saying
journalism in general, whether it's wrestling or otherwise.
That's why I was saying the whole thing about the Super Bowl halftime show a few weeks ago. Do you really not like it, or are you just trying to be included and everyone's slagging on it? Stop. Hatred is not a trend. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I'm indifferent. I drove from one Super Bowl party to another during the halftime show, but that's a whole nother story. So we got about 2.5 minutes left, so I believe it's time for
birthdays. That's my line.
No, that's my line.
That's my line.
No, it's mine.
All right.
That's my line.
Enough, you two. My gosh, that was not planned either. That's what makes it so much better. All right,
That was just
you all right there, Ted?
I didn't even say anything wrong. Why are you he's already...
Oh, goodness.
Oh, right.
I thought that was just a burst of laughter, which also would have worked, yeah. All right, 2 + 4 Brucey bonuses. Now I got about a minute and a half here. On this date in 1951, Ed Lee Jones was born, the former NFL defensive end for the Dallas Cowboys, brief professional boxer and guest referee for the 20-man Battle Royal at WrestleMania 2, better known as Ed Too Tall Jones, turns 68 today. And I had to really stretch on this one. On this date in 1990, Ryan from Northeast Philly was born. The longtime friend of the show and occasional in-studio guest turns 29 today.
To the intern at times.
And yes, very much nuisance to the
Happy
intern.
birthday, Ryan.
Exactly.
Tolerate you, buddy.
Indeed. And 4 Brucey bonuses, things outside of the world of wrestling. On this date in 1940, Peter Henry Fonda was born, the Golden Globe award-winning actor known for Yuli's Gold and Easy Rider. He turns 79 today. On this date in 1963, Bobby Bonilla was born. Yeah, the baseball player who has made July 1st famous with his shrewd contract agreement of deferred money with yearly interest. So he's getting paid $1.2 million every July 1st from 2011 all the way up until 2035, even though he retired in 2001. Crazy money. He turns 56 today. On this date in 1986, Holly Brooke Haferman was born. Who's that? The singer and songwriter known for penning Eminem and Rihanna's hit single Love the Way You Lie, plus providing guest vocals on songs like Fort Minor's Where'd You Go, Diddy's Coming Home, Dr. Dre's I Need a Doctor, and Nicki Minaj's Bed of Lies, known professionally as Skylar Grey, turns 33 today.
Oh, okay.
I figured that would click for you there on that one. And finally, on this date in 1994, Hannah Dakota Fanning was born. The actress known for roles in movies such as I Am Sam, Uptown Girls, War of the Worlds, as well as the Twilight Saga movies, known professionally as Dakota Fanning. She turns 25 today. That's going to do it for us here. Play us out, Nutsy.
1 o'clock and all's well.
Serving you better than ever before. This is 1490 WBC.